How's it going, guys? Instead of putting out a long drawn out text, I figured I'd put up a quick video. Some guys were asking, you know, what's your shot process look like? So I figured I'd go into a little bit of pre-shot and then what I do when I'm actually on a stage on the clock. So first thing I normally do is I verify ranges. Anywhere you go, that, you know, they may have made a mistake. It could be, you know, 10 yards. It could be, I've seen 30 yards before. And if it's at 1,000 yards, 30 yards in the wrong direction, you know, can make you miss pretty easily. So verify your range. The next thing I do is I verify that my inputs are correct in my Kestrel from my rifle. So I'll look in there and make sure my rifle is the right one, and I'll get a wind reading. So I want to know direction and speed. So direction gives me my value, speed gives me how much that value is going to matter. So we're going to go in, put in, right now it's only about 2 miles an hour, so it's not much, but still put it in there, because if you forget to put it in there and last time you had it at 15, it can affect your elevation due to crosswind jump. So then I use my Hawk Hill data card holder right here, and I'll write down my yardages, and I'll write down my come-ups, and then I'll write down my wind bracket. So if my wind bracket is well within the target, then I just write down that one number. If there's two different wind values, and if the wind shifts, it's going to throw me out of that bracket, then I write down two different wind values. Now, after I've got that done, I'm going to look at my prop. And obviously at PRS, you can't take any rifle up there with you, but what I can do is see how high it is. So I can walk up to it and see where it hits me on my body. That gives me a reference point as to what I'm going to need to use for my body position and for support. So I know that for this, I normally just use a Game Changer from Reserve Precision. You can get them at Armageddon Gear, and pretty much that's it. So before I go up to shoot, I'm going to walk up there. I'm going to make sure this mag's topped off, make sure the magazine's topped off on my side in case I have some kind of stoppage or bad ammo or something like that. All right, then I'm going to work from the front of the rifle to the back. Is my suppressor or my brake tight? Is my suppressor cover all the way back? Are my bipods where I want them? Are my scope covers off? Is my dope dialed? My data card holder out? My parallax set to where I want it for that first target? My bolt in the position that I want it? Is my safety in the position that I want it? Is my zoom level in the position that I want it? Come back, making sure that everything's tight on the buttstock. Give my scope a little wiggle to make sure I don't have any loose scope mounts or scope bases or anything like that. And then I look one more time to make sure my turret's dialed on the dope that I want it on. All right, I'm gonna go through mentally several times on this stage, and I'm gonna say the order of the targets in my mind, and I'm gonna envision shooting those targets in that order and dialing or holding the dope that I'm gonna use. All right, once I'm at that point, that's when hopefully I've done all this before they call me up to shoot. Once they call me up to shoot, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna have my magazine in hand and whatever other gear that I'm gonna use. So when I get up there, I'm gonna have my rifle, my bipods in the position that I want them in. I'm gonna do that same quick checklist when they say, "Shooter, do you understand the course of fire?" When I say yes, I'm on their time. Before I say yes, I'm on my time. So I'm gonna make sure that all that stuff is right. Now, they're gonna tell me to go on ahead and insert my magazine and remove my chamber flag. At that point, I'm gonna look inside and make sure that my magazine is inserted correctly and that my round is to the rear in the magazine. I'm gonna make sure my bolt's all the way to the rear. All right. Now, from my starting position, I'm gonna have my bag in the position that I want it to go down in. I'm gonna have my rifle with eyes muzzle target, and I'm gonna be looking at the target direction and try to find my target indicator if I can't see the actual target. Shooter, do you understand the course of fire? Yes, I do. Shooter ready? Yes. Stand by. Beep. I'm gonna move to my engagement area. As I'm setting my rifle down, I'm looking over top of my turret cap and I'm building my position. I find my target indicator or my target over top of the turret cap. and I establish my cheek weld by touching my chin against the stock. Find my target, relax down, close my bolt. All right, key thing here, my breathing gets under control, and I'm gonna make sure that I relax completely because any muscle tension creates wobble area. Press and follow through. Observe my impact and then run the bolt. Changing targets, going to 3.5. Wind hold is 1.4. Observe my impact. Changing targets, going to 6.8. Wind hold is 2.6. Impact. Changing targets, going back down to 3.4. And so forth. Now, as I'm shooting my shot process, I'm making sure that each time I press the trigger, I'm following through, I'm observing my impact, I run that bolt, find my next target, relax, and start the process over. So, anybody that's ever taken a class with me knows that I always say that we're all apprentices in a craft that has no masters. I'm not here saying this is the exact way that you should do it, but this is how I do it, and it seems to work pretty well. There's a school of thought that is mentioned in the book With Winning in Mind that there should be subconscious and conscious level movements. When we practice this shot process over and over and over with the conscious mind, it should become a subconscious action. And that's what we're looking for. When I'm on the clock, I'm not necessarily thinking smooth trigger press, straight to the rear, focus on the reticle. All that stuff is already ingrained in me through my practice. Now, hopefully I've got somebody out there with me that's kind of coaching me that can pick up on those mistakes if I start making them. But if I do have a miss, I'm going to pause right there and practice, and I'm going to say, okay, what happened? WTF? Is it wind trajectory fundamentals? What happened? And then I can correct that mental error, and I can move forward with good positive thoughts, and I'm going to make those next hits. So we're trying to move conscious thoughts, conscious actions into subconscious thoughts, subconscious actions, and we're going to, just think that we're going to make that next hit. So it's not, this process isn't, getting nervous and all like that. Hey, I know what size, what height this is. I know what gear I'm going to use to get there. I know that my gear is ready to go, and I know that it's going to work. I know I've practiced for it, and there's nothing to be nervous about at that point. I know I'm going to win the match. So, whether or not you do win, that's up to you. But if you go into it, like Henry Ford said, I don't know if you can or you can't, but if you think you can't, I know you're right. All right, VPRC, I hope you have a great day. I hope this helped a little bit, and any other questions, I'll be happy to help you with. Thanks.